Hi everyone, this is Deadlock bringing you more Call of Duty Black Ops 4 content for 2019, and in today's video we're going to take a look at what you have to do to win at Hardcore Team Deathmatch. So let's jump right in. Firstly, you have to select the correct specialist. It's important that you choose a specialist that will be the most effective on the map that you're about to play. So you'll know as you enter the game lobby whether you're going to be playing in a short, small, close map where you're going to be very close to the enemy and you're going to be spawning near to them. In some cases you'll be on a more medium-sized map that might have a lot of different routes and pathways around it, and then you might find that there are larger sprawling maps like Madagascar where you may be engaging the enemy at long range. So it's important that you understand before you even think about your weapon setup which is the correct specialist for you to use. Each specialist has their own unique ability and unique equipment, and it's important that you choose the relevant specialist for any given map. In some cases, a lot of people will just choose the specialist that they like the best and that they're the most used to using, and that in itself has its own value because you'll be familiar with the maps now that you've been playing for some time, and you'll be familiar with the specialist, their ability and their equipment. Let's take Torque for example. He can be a great specialist on short maps because he will block the routes and paths using his specialist ability and specialist equipment. His specialist ability is a magnetised barricade that can be deployed, and his specialist equipment is a razor wire that can be deployed across doorways. So even if you're playing on a small map, both the ability and the equipment can be very useful for blocking spawn points where the enemies are going to spawn and shutting them in. I wouldn't personally recommend, if you're going to use Torque, that you spend your time behind the barricade. A lot of people do, but I would use it more as a tool that people will walk into and it will kill them immediately. That's a far better way of deploying it. So when you have the opportunity to deploy the barricade, it's a good idea to deploy it in or just around the corner from known spawn points, and then as the enemy spawns you'll block them. They may not see it coming because they do not have the engineer perk. They'll walk right into it and be killed, or alternatively they'll choose a different route, and then it's important that you are in position to kill them as they come around the other route. So that's an example of choosing the right specialist. Another specialist to look at might be Battery, whose specialist ability is their cluster grenade and their specialist equipment is the grenade launcher. That's more based around assaulting the enemy positions. Again, on a small map like Nuketown, you would want to throw the grenade over the bus into the enemy spawn to kill them, and the same would be the case when you're deploying the rocket launcher. You'll want to be firing that over the bus and into the spawn points so that the enemies are spawning into it. So without looking at every single specialist individually, get to know the specialists, get to know their specialist abilities and equipment, and get to know what suits you best. Are you the type of player that wants to assault the enemy? If you are, then make sure when you're reviewing your choice of specialist that you're choosing a specialist that has equipment and abilities based around assaulting the enemy. If you're more of a cagey or defensive player, then think about choosing a specialist that will fortify your position and allow you to remain in close proximity to your equipment and your specialist ability and take out the enemy as they try to assault you. There are lots of weapons to choose from in Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and there are lots of available attachments for those weapons. In addition to your primary weapon, you can choose a secondary weapon, you can choose specialist equipment, and you can choose perks that are going to benefit you in your quest to win the game. So again, it's important for you to understand what your goal is in any given game. Are you the type of player that wants to assault the enemy position, or are you the type of player that wants to stay in your own spawn and try and protect your teammates as they are spawning and moving around the map and intercept the enemy as they try to assault your position? Personally, I like to have one setup that allows me to be a little bit more relaxed in my own spawn, and then I like to have a setup that allows me to run and gun. I found that the most successful custom class for running and gunning is to take the GKS submachine gun as your primary weapon with the one attachment, which is the long barrel attachment. You do not need sights of any type with the GKS. because the built-in sight is more than suitable for any game of hardcore team deathmatch. Next, I like to take the Rampage shotgun, which really allows me in close quarter combat, which I'm going to be intercepting the enemy as they are coming out of their spawn, as they're rounding corners. So I want to be getting on top of the enemy. If I haven't picked them off from a little bit of distance using the GKS with the long barrel attachment, then I'm going to equip the Rampage for all close quarters combat, and this allows you to very quickly neutralise any enemy. So I take the Rampage shotgun as my secondary weapon, and I equip max load, which just adds a little bit more of a devastating punch to your shotgun's pellets when you're firing. Next, I want to think about what perks are going to help me and my specialist execute our objectives within the game. So for me, I like to know where the enemy are, I like to know what types of equipment they're using, and I like to know and be able to try and plan and intercept what it is that they're going to do in the game. So I always choose the Engineer perk. Next, I like to be able to move quickly around the map, and I like to be able to shoot my weapon on the go, as opposed to having to stop and lift the sights up. I like to be firing my secondary weapon, the Rampage, while I'm running at full speed. So I will choose Gung Ho as my second perk, and then I will take second perk Greed, because not only do I like to be able to shoot my weapon without having to lift it up and look down the sights, I like to be able to move quickly around the map as well. So next I will choose Lightweight from perk 2. Finally, I'll take Dead Silence from perk 3, so that the enemies cannot hear me coming. So this is my number one assault setup. It's the GKS with the long barrel, it's the Rampage shotgun with max load. I will keep standard equipment, and then I will choose the perks Engineer for perk 1, Lightweight and Gung Ho from perk 2, and Dead Silence from perk 3. If on the other hand I want to be a little bit more conservative, then I'll choose an assault rifle. However, there is absolutely no substitute whatsoever for learning each of the weapons' key capabilities and linking that to your goals within any given game and your choice of specialist, and making sure that when you enter into a game, you're fully equipped in the right way to win the game. I don't see any point in a very small map of having a lot of noise coming from your feet or using long range weapons, because fast moving, quick enemies are going to infiltrate your position and kill you. If I do choose a long range weapon, then I would take the Swordfish tactical rifle, and I would equip that with a silencer, and then I would take a shotgun for close range, and I would make sure I have Ghost equipped, that I have Lightweight equipped, and that I have Engineer equipped. However, when you experiment with the game, you will find your own set custom classes that you prefer to use, but before you do that, just do have a consideration of the map that you're about to play, and make sure you've got 2 or 3 setups, one short range, fast, attack minded setup, one more general assault rifle setup, and one long range setup, and that will allow you within any given game to adapt your style to your opponent's style and counteract whatever it is that they try to do. Next, let's think about the maps. It's really important to get familiar with the maps. You'll know it yourself. The longer you've been playing the game, the more easy it is to travel around the map and pick off the enemies and all of the key choke points. If you're continually dying on a map, it's because you're approaching whatever your objective is in the wrong way. Don't go for revenge kills and keep returning to the same spot all of the time. It can be a good idea to navigate around the map in a clockwise manner, staying along the outside, looking into the middle on large maps, and that will allow you to intercept the enemy as they move towards the choke points, so you're thinking ahead of them. If that's unsuccessful for you, try navigating the map anti-clockwise to counteract anybody else who has figured out what it is that you're doing. If your team is fully on top and you're not seeing any action in the game whatsoever, then look at whoever's the highest on the scoreboard and start to track their movements and get behind them and support them, and then you will pick off more enemies and you'll probably get to see a little bit of how they interact with the map and their style and learn a little bit from them. But those are predominantly the key matters that you need to be thinking about when you're playing Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Hardcore Team Deathmatch. You've got to use the right specialist, you've got to choose the right custom class, and you've got to get to grips with the maps. In addition to that, if you can find a group of like-minded players who all have different attributes and go into a party with those individuals and approach Hardcore Team Deathmatch games in that way as a team, then you will find it's much more easily to just go on a pub game stomping spree and just basically win every single game. That's not always possible. I think a lot of people that play Hardcore Team Deathmatch, they like the challenge, they like to play with lots of different people, but there's nothing wrong with just having your microphone switched on and hoping that some of your teammates are going to be receptive to a little bit of talking tactics within the game, calling out where the enemy positions are, calling out any equipment that the enemy's deployed, such as razor wire or barricades or trip mines if you see them. Anyway guys, that's my guide on how to win on Hardcore Team Deathmatch. You see guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, I would be really grateful if you could like and subscribe. And if you don't want to miss any of my videos, then click the notification bell, and hopefully this video helps you become a better COD player. If it does, why not start a discussion in the comment section below? I always respond to any comments, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Thanks guys, take care.